And Danny, it looks like Pennsylvania is where he is putting all of his hopes.
Yes, the senator again told reporters today that Pennsylvania is win or go home for him, and this is a state that voted him out of office by a wide margin in 2006. He says that the political environment here has changed quite a bit since then. We've had things like the Democrats' national health care law and other issues that he feels he can combine with his knowledge of the state to pull off a win.
And obviously, you're coming off the win of Mitt Romney last night, who swept both Maryland, D.C., and the Wisconsin primaries. I mean, at this point, if we do the math, is there a way that Rick Santorum can possibly get as many as the delegates that he needs to be the front runner?
I mean, that is a highly unlikely scenario. I mean, if you do the math, Mr. Santorum would have to win something like more than 70% of the delegates the rest of this primary to sort of to reach a majority to claim the nomination. But there is an arguable scenario where he gets enough delegates to sort of block Mr. Romney. But it's becoming increasingly unclear if he even has enough momentum to do that. If you talk to a lot of Republican voters, even here in Pennsylvania, there's sort of a growing sense of primary fatigue and this idea that, let's move on to the general election.
Danny, hi, it's Dennis Berman here in New York. It does seem like this is a wrap, right? I mean, there's the pretense of going through the elections here, and as we should. But by all accounts, especially given the endorsements that Romney's gotten from Republicans across the spectrum here, can we just call it over now, please?
Well, I am not going to be the one to do that here today, but there are certainly many Republicans who are saying that now. And just Romney's delegate and organizational and fundraising lead is pretty insurmountable any way you look at it. So we'll see where this goes.
And Danny, we're looking at what's happening on the ground there in Pennsylvania. You are there. Tell us what the voters are saying. I mean, I understand that this is going to be a close race for Santorum, despite the fact that it's his home state.
It is, and that's what's actually really interesting. I mean, we're sort of looking at what could be the last showdown state of 2012, at least in the primary. Voters here, I mean, everyone likes him. They think of him as this great guy who represented them for 16 years. But, I mean, I was talking to one man who knew Mr. Santorum's father, was invited to a reception with the senator last night, and he's still probably leaning toward voting for Mr. Romney just because he sort of wants this over with.
And beyond that, Danny, let's say that the nominee is basically for Romney. What beyond that is the political game here that Santorum perhaps is trying to wage? Is there a shift where he wants Romney to make, or where he can apply some pressure to change the platform or the approach of Romney if he becomes the eventual nominee?
He has given no indication of that so far, but that is the interesting thing about Rick Santorum, is he is by far, the youngest White House contender out there right now, and he could very well give this another shot in 4 years or 8 years if Mr. Romney wins the presidency. But he really so far has refused to even talk about that. Reporters were hounding him today. You by some measures, you only stand to damage yourself by staying in the race, especially if you suffer an embarrassing loss in your home state. And his remark was, well, we're not even talking about next time. You obviously haven't discussed this with my wife, suggesting she was opposed to any future White House run.
All right, Danny, real quick, because unfortunately we have to let you go, but what if he wins Pennsylvania, then what? Where do we stand on this nominating contest? It goes on, right?
If you ask Rick Santorum, yes, this goes on until May. But increasingly what you're seeing from Romney supporters is, it doesn't really matter about Pennsylvania. Yes, Rick Santorum will get some momentum boost, and we may see him competing in some contests in May. But it's still very unclear how he would actually turn the table and become the nominee. Winning Pennsylvania is very different than taking the title of front runner away from Mitt Romney.